Spider-Man is the most popular superhero in the world, but here's something most people don't know. He almost didn't exist. In the version that almost did, you wouldn't recognize it. Welcome to the channel. To tell this story right, you have to go back almost a decade before Amazing Fantasy number 15, back to 1953, because that's where it actually starts. Joe Simon, one half of Simon and Kirby, the guys who made Captain America, got a call from C.C. Beck. Beck was the artist behind Captain Marvel, one of the biggest superheroes of the 1940s. Beck had an idea, and he wanted Simon's help. What they came up with was called the Silver Spider. Simple concept. An orphaned boy named Tommy Troy finds a magic ring with a spider's crest on it. Ring has a genie. Genie gives him powers. He transforms into the Silver Spider. Very Captain Marvel, very of its time. They took it to Harvey Comics. Harvey had a young editor named Sid Jacobson who wrote a memo tearing it apart. Said it was strictly old hat, nothing new. But here's where it gets interesting. Jacobson didn't just criticize it, he told them what it should be. He wrote that the character should be thought of as a human spider. Tall, thin, wiry, long legs and arms. And he said the character should swing using silken ropes, and I'm basically quoting this, a la Tarzan or a Batman. The threads would come from a special liquid. They could be used as a web, as a net. That's web swinging, that's web fluid. In a rejection memo, in 1953, nearly a decade before Spider-Man existed, Harvey still passed. The Silver Spider went into a drawer. Now here's a detail most people miss. During this same period, Simon and Kirby were developing another concept called Night Fighter, scientific adventurer, high-tech gadgets, and one of his most basic abilities was magnetic boots that let him walk up the sides of buildings, like a spider. Two spider concepts being developed simultaneously, and neither one made it anywhere. The partnership between Simon and Kirby eventually fell apart. When they divided their assets, Kirby got the Spider-Man logo. One word, no hyphen. Simon kept the Silver Spider pages. Fast forward to 1958. Archie Comics wants new superhero titles. Simon calls Kirby back in. They dust off the Silver Spider. But by now, a monster movie called The Fly has been a massive hit at the box office. So they reworked the concept, turned the genie into an alien, renamed the character The Fly. The transformation from boy to adult hero stays. Kirby draws the first issues and moves on. Then, 1962. Stan Lee is looking for a new character. He's told the idea came to him from watching a fly walk up a wall. His first instinct for a name was Fly Man, bad. Then Insect Man, worse. Then Mosquito Man, sit with that. The most popular superhero in the world was almost called Mosquito Man. Then it hit him, Spider-Man. By his own account, it was an epiphany. He even told Larry King on CNN once, "I've told this story so often, it might even be true, I can't remember." Which is either very honest or very Stan Lee, depending on how you look at it. He took it to his boss, Martin Goodman. Goodman hated it. People hate spiders. You can't make a hero a teenager. Superheroes don't have problems. Amazing Fantasy was already being canceled, so Lee just snuck Spider-Man into the final issue, figuring nobody cared what went in a dead book. And here's where it gets complicated. Because Kirby didn't come to this fresh. He just spent time on The Fly. That same character descended from the Silver Spider going all the way back to 1953. And when Kirby came back with his Spider-Man pages, that DNA showed up immediately. Teenager, magic ring, transforms into adult hero, wore trunks like Captain America, had a holstered web gun. Former Marvel editor Jim Shooter actually held one of Kirby's design pages once and said, and I'm paraphrasing here, it was nothing like the Ditko version. Far bigger, far bulkier. Notes in the margin about him having a connection to a police official. Joe Simon later described it as Captain America with cobwebs. Steve Ditko, who was supposed to just ink the project, looked at Kirby's pages and said, "This is the Fly." Lee called Kirby. Days later, Ditko was given the job entirely. And what Ditko did next is the whole story. Out went the magic ring. Out went the adult hero. Out went the web gun. Ditko built something completely different from the ground up. He made Peter Parker a teenager who actually looked like a teenager. Skinny, awkward, glasses. Someone readers could see themselves in. And interestingly, there's reason to think Ditko might have based Peter partly on how he himself looked at 18. Not autobiographical exactly, more like an idealized version. Because the resemblance is real, but it's not the awkward teenage Ditko. It's the best version of Ditko, the one who had good hair, which honestly says something about who Peter Parker was supposed to be. Not a hero, a kid who could have been better. And the wrist shooters, not a gun, wrist-mounted mechanical web shooters. Ditko's own words, the wrist web shooters versus a web gun is mine. And that matters. A web gun is a weapon. Organic webs are a power. But mechanical wrist shooters are an invention. They say Peter Parker is smart enough to build his way into being a hero. They make him vulnerable. He can run out of web fluid. He can lose them. He is not invincible. That vulnerability is part of what makes him human. The sales figures came back on Amazing Fantasy number 15, and Martin Goodman ran into Stan Lee's office saying, and I'm quoting, "Stan, do you remember that character of yours, Spiderman, that we both liked so much?" We both liked so much. The nerve. And what came out of all of that? The rejection memos, the failed pitches, the logos that went nowhere, the character that kept getting handed off from one person to the next, was something that nobody had made before. A hero with real problems. A hero who could fail. A hero who needed the world as much as the world needed him. That character went on to inspire everything. Miles Morales, Venom, a whole generation of characters built on the same idea that your power doesn't define you, what you do with it does. It started with a rejected pitch to Harvey Comics in 1953, a character nobody wanted, a name that almost wasn't, a drawing that looked too much like something else, and one quiet artist who said, "Not a gun, wrist shooters." If you could like and subscribe, it really helps out.